You figured out the ending before the movie was halfway through. You always do. And you said nothing, because explaining how you knew tends to cost you something. People have called you smart your whole life, but the word never quite fit the way they meant it. What you live inside is harder to name, and quieter and more tiring than the word smart lets on. Seeing more than the people around you turns out to come with a kind of distance nobody warns you about. This is the psychology of extremely high intelligence, and the 10 quiet signs you'd recognize in yourself. Not the flattering ones the internet sells, real ones, and almost everyone comes stitched to a cost. By the time we reach the 10th, you'll have found yourself somewhere in the list. And you'll understand why being the one who sees the most has so often left you feeling like the one who fits the least. The story the world tells about high intelligence is almost entirely about success. We picture breezing through school, the big career, the hard problems solved with confident ease. Intelligence gets sold as a kind of cheat code. The people who have it must struggle less. That picture misses almost everything that matters. Because the real markers of a sharp mind aren't the trophies. They're quieter and stranger. And several of them get a person labeled difficult, scattered, arrogant, or cold long before anyone thinks to call them gifted. The first sign is a mind that won't switch off. It doesn't stop when the problem is solved. It keeps running, turning over a comment from 3 days ago, spotting the flaw in a plan no one else noticed, rehearsing tomorrow's conversation before it happens. The same engine that cracks the hard problem at work is the one that keeps you awake at 2 in the morning, taking apart something that didn't need taking apart. The second sign is a hunger for difficulty. This kind of mind needs hard things the way a body needs movement. The moment a task stops being challenging, something goes flat. The mastered job becomes a cage. The easy conversation becomes unbearable. These are people who'll sometimes walk away from a stable, comfortable situation for no reason anyone can see, simply because nothing was left in it to chew on. The third sign gets people into trouble early. They can't take a rule on faith. Where most people hear an instruction and follow it, this mind asks why and whether it's even true. It isn't rebellion. The mind just can't pretend to believe something it hasn't checked. In a classroom or a workplace, this reads as difficult. From the inside, it feels like the only honest way to think. The fourth sign is a kind of seeing that arrives too early. These people tend to know how things will go before they go. They feel a friendship cooling before the other person admits it. They sense the bad decision coming and often can't stop it. It sounds like a gift, this foresight, and on paper it is. In a life, it mostly feels like waiting. Standing at a conclusion you reached a long time ago while everyone else slowly walks toward it. The fifth sign hides inside their humor. A sharp mind plays with ideas the way other people play with toys, so it tends to make connections that are strange fast and a beat too clever for the room. They'll land a joke that 3 people get and the rest blink at. Over time, some of them stop telling the joke at all. They keep it inside, where it's understood, and let the room think they're quieter than they are. The sixth sign is harder to admit. They are often deeply impatient with people, not out of cruelty, but because they're already 3 steps ahead and have to keep pretending they're not. Waiting for someone to catch up to a point you made minutes ago is its own small daily exhaustion. Most of them learn to hide this. The hiding is part of why they seem tired. There's a name for the thread running under all 6 of these. Psychologists talk about overexcitability, a nervous system that runs hotter and faster than the average, taking in more, reacting to more, settling less. In plain words, the same wiring that makes the mind powerful also makes it loud. It rarely gets to rest. The 7th sign is the one the world keeps mistaking for the whole story, the raw ability itself. The mind that won't stop also won't quit. It finds the answer others miss, holds several ideas at once, learns fast, and on its best days, the reach of its own thinking is one of the great quiet pleasures of being alive. But the gift draws from the same well as the cost, and the 8th sign is where that shows. A mind built for depth is poorly built for small talk, and most human connection runs on small talk. So these people live a strange double life, capable of dazzling someone in a conversation about something real, and completely lost at the table when the talk turns to weather and weekend plans. They feel themselves going quiet, scanning for an exit, watching others bond effortlessly over the very things that bore them into silence. The 9th sign is the darkest of them. The mind that sees everything also turns inward and sees its own flaws in merciless detail. High intelligence and harsh self-judgment travel together because the same sharp instrument that dissects a problem dissects the self. These are often the people who look most capable from the outside and feel most inadequate within because their standard is set by what they can imagine, and what they can imagine always runs further than what they've done. So they achieve and it doesn't land. They solve and the satisfaction evaporates. And no one believes them when they say they feel like they're not enough. because from where everyone stands, they so obviously are. That gap between how capable they look and how unfinished they feel sets up the 10th sign and the trap waiting inside it. The 10th sign is the one that completes the picture. They use the mind to hide from life instead of to live it. A powerful intellect makes a powerful hiding place. You can think about a feeling instead of feeling it, analyze a relationship instead of being in it, understand exactly why you're afraid, in precise and elegant detail, and use that understanding as the reason never to do the thing you fear. The mind becomes a room you retreat into, and because it's such an interesting room, you don't notice how long you've been hiding there. This is the quiet tragedy of a lot of very bright people. They mistake understanding a problem for solving it. They can narrate their own avoidance with real insight and change nothing, because the insight itself starts to feel like progress. Knowing why you do something becomes a substitute for stopping. There's a harder edge to it. The mind that questions everything eventually questions the things that don't survive questioning. Meaning, connection, the small unexamined joys other people just let themselves have. Pick those apart far enough and they come apart in your hands. Then you're standing in a life you've successfully analyzed and can no longer quite feel. The sharpest minds are sometimes the loneliest, not because no one understands them, but because they've thought their way out of the simple things that hold everyone else together. That's the bill the gift quietly hands you, not failure. Something stranger, a life rich with understanding and starved of what understanding can't reach. If you found yourself in that list, the way through isn't to think harder. You've tried that, it's where you live. The way through runs in the one direction the mind resists most, toward the things that don't reward analysis. The conversation that isn't going anywhere clever, the hobby you're bad at and do anyway. The friendship that offers you nothing to solve, just someone's ordinary company on an ordinary evening. These will feel at first like a waste of a mind like yours. That feeling is the trap talking. The boredom you feel in simple things isn't proof they're beneath you. It's proof you've forgotten how to be fed by anything that doesn't strain. Start letting some things go unexamined. Let a good moment be good without taking it apart to see how it works. Let a person be enjoyed without being assessed. Let a feeling move through you before your mind arrives to explain it. Because the explaining, however brilliant, is also a way of not feeling it. And here's the thing none of the 10 signs will tell you. The thing worth more than all of them. Your intelligence was never the most valuable part of you. It was the loudest. The most valuable part is whatever's left when the thinking finally goes quiet. The part that can be moved by something simple. That can love without analyzing it. That can sit in a room and just be there. It's been waiting underneath the noise your whole life. It doesn't need you to be smart. It needs you to be still long enough to let it speak. You've spent a lifetime being the one who sees the most. You're allowed now to also be the one who feels it. If any of this met you somewhere quiet, leave a comment and consider subscribing. There will be more like it.